In the last quarter of 2024, and the current OSP, Office of the Special Prosecutor, Kisi Ajeben, ebeye press conference, any the press conference, or can say Bibli, or the Ghana Baya, Sabre, no, say Kufuado, Aban, a man of quine. The conference in one word, Jiremu, Uncle Noma, with the make rubber for dear. Yeni meti bibia me breso ana mi kro akwa no me anu me akwa no me breso ana mi kro ene ye otu enum ya ana Ghana fo nyina sympathize ye with him na on KSM show ana wo kire mu se Ghana fo ogbo na chi dodo adan ya wajai Hon.Ofori Atta according to lawyer Martin Pebu, is the leading suspect in the XML contract. And I said earlier, now it will surprise you when we go into the details of the XML contract. Now, OSP was charging Hon.Ofori Atta and 7 others with corruption and PPA violations and intent to steal the nation. And yet charges now now on KSM show and it was answered and then I would die Hon.Ofori Atta a man and then it was Ghana for say what to try ampia was say now as at January January 1st to January 7th and as January 6th now your president His Excellency Akufo-Addo Adudi, Adogagai, Adu Showboy, Ono, and an president. Na Hon.Ofori Atta, can once more the lead suspect, no, or also ne cousin, Akufo-Addo. And there was nothing I could do as an OSP. Was it prior to that? Now I intercepted a letter, say, too kind. Ono Hon.Ofori Atta, no, too kind. Or kohe na pomudimu kakra. So this letter, according to Kisi Ajabeno, was left at the Chief of Staff office. And the one or intercepted. And the only two kakra. And the head on Sabeba. After all, the Hondo Dono. And the Okohe na pomudina and Yama 2 years. Na emuno ano say Satam no way na say anka omanenko nanso police Akufo-Addo na bana na woso nti no ntimi nya ho hwe NIB Akufo-Addo abana na woso no ntimi nya ho hwe ono se we nyina fact na ene ensem no de waburu bi so papa nti Ghana-fo se mo bo na chi se wa hyeda gya Kisi Ajeben ama wadwane afri country ni mu no enye no kre enye sa na tie if you say at the time he was powerless nti Ghana-fo se mo kan ya amunya botre na ono de wasi enkite say danya Hon.Ofori Atta ono na former finance minister former konkron Ghana na de we den o den beba no de na begina aseni bia if you say osusu say wa ball man no kro no not just in the SML though but in other cases as well. Now on KSM show no, this is what Kisi Ajeben the OSP had to say with regards to Hon.Ofori Atta and time or the free of mind.
To patiently study and investigate this case. By January 2025, we were upgoing. That's when we started calling people in. And that's when we then noticed that the main perpetrator from our standpoint, the main perpetrator had no intention of returning back to the country. Of course, he had left the country earlier in the year during the transition. And we should place this in proper context because we've attracted some flag that why did we allow him to go? Mr. He left before 7 January. Between 1st, I know the exact date, but I'm not going to mention it. All I'm saying is between 1st and 6th January, he had left. Who was in power during those few days? And we don't control the airports. we don't control the exit. The OSP doesn't control the exit points. But we are taking flag day in and day out. Why did we allow him to
So
go
in a nutshell, in a nutshell, that the person we are talking about, who is Hon.Ofori, led the country when people who had the power to have prevented it saw it happen and didn't do anything?
No, let me put it this way. His cousin was president. Let's face facts.
Yeah.
Before John Dramani Mahama was sworn in on 7 January, Nana Akufo-Addo was the president.
Yeah.
That was his cousin. He had kept him in the office for more than 7 years. Now, who was controlling the airports? The office of the special prosecutor, who was controlling all these exit points. He had left a very curious letter to the incoming chief of staff. That we had seen. And it sounded benign. Because he said, the letter was actually inviting trouble, if I'll put it that way. He made it seem as if he was so open to accountability that any time he was wanted, he would just show up. So it was a very friendly, jovial letter, if you put it where he wrote to the incoming chief of staff. He said, I'm stepping out for a little medical checkup.
And if you need me, I'll be back.
If you need me, I'll be riding. So when we saw that, once again, we were not the ones controlling the exits. And then when we intercepted that letter and we saw it, was like, okay, maybe he is open to accountability. So let's see. So when power changed hands, and then we started calling, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the 3rd week of January that we sought to bring him in. And then things went all right.
Can we conclude then that somehow he left under the watch of the NDC? And
no, he didn't. Let me put the dates very carefully. You see, this is very crucial. I said between 1st and 6th January, he was
1st
already
and 6th,
gone.
okay. My mistake.
He was already gone. And I said, when he left, the president was Nana Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
At the time he left.
So at the time he left,
in a proper historical context.
Okay.
And
at the time he left,
and I'm saying that
Mahama had not been sworn in yet.
No, he had not.
Okay.
And I'm saying that at the time we couldn't have blocked him.
Okay.
We couldn't.
Why? Why not?
I think I've thrown a lot of innuendos around for you to come to that conclusion. I said his cousin was the president. We were not controlling the ports of exit and entry. And even then, we were not getting the cooperation at the time from other security agencies.
You weren't getting any cooperation?
No, we're not.
You had asked for them?
Oh, we asked for all that, but we were not. It was as if there was a policy of block the OSP out. That was what we were facing, and that was the circumstances under which we were being expected to perform. I think I've complained about these things over time, but we were on our own. It was only the police and the military that did well to still show us up in respect of our work. National security, nope. At the time, the situation is different now. National Signals Bureau, nope. At the time, the situation is different now. National Intelligence Bureau, 0. At the time, the situation is different now. I mean, the security setup was stacked up against the OSP, so we will not be able to perform our job. This was the situation in which we found ourselves. And I'm being asked how I let Hon.Ofori through this.
Yeah, but it's amazing what you're telling me now, because that's the basic complaint that's out there. You watch him leave and you made it easy for him to...
No, we didn't watch him leave. We were powerless. That is the truth. We were powerless. We saw him leave, but we couldn't prevent him from leaving at the airport because we couldn't. Now we can rely on the Ghana Immigration Service to block someone. Now we can rely on national security.
Before then, you couldn't.
To block someone. Then, at the time he left, you call up immigration, no one will even bother to respond to you. You write to immigration, no one will even bother to respond to you. And I'm saying this unabashedly. That was the situation we found ourselves in. Once again, the OSP doesn't have a presence at the airport. The OSP doesn't control the airports and other.
And he was powerless at the time. All the security industries were not collaborating. If we say the borders, he wasn't the one controlling it. It was a Akufo-Addo government who was controlling it. So there was nothing he, as an OSP, could have done. Now, okay, can I say we na lawyer Martin Pebu say crash what boy and no crack. And no crack, hey, and no crack, and no crack. Ah, Kisia Jabe Obi a say you saw a year Hon.Ofori leave. And I say saying, utu mutai me some other people no, you will lead your remover. Martin Pebu or say adia a year Kisia Jabe ene na pound for aye during the time anu mo akwenya senko mbetimi a stop a Hon.Ofori say on free oman no. They let that opportunity slide into another day on fan channel net on fan channel china. Now enra on TV3 one show wa kwa no omoye lifestyle audit ana oka ensemi bebre was Kisia Jabe before call be azumi office no, he was very conflicted. So say he has worked in the past with Hon.Ofori. He has worked in the past with Ochre Kevin Ochre yet relatives of Akufo-Addo. So how can such a conflicted person near in law a friend of conflict of interest nipa no one will be yo one not pay or say he has even served as a lawyer to Hon.Ofori. So clearly there was a conflict of interest, but ye nyina hwe ana obi aka na no tu mu ana wanka na Martin Pebu a legal practitioner and he say hey o di ntre ha e social and media no so was say wo obi a oni Ghana for na eye adwuma Ghana for na ama to me ama mandate, you have every power, even the power to arrest. And this ampase abanya no wo so ama okwan a what happened to another press conference only also a friend no ankwa no part 2 was it what prevented you as an OSP say obeye another ankwa no part 2 wanye ana Ghana for a bow 10 months down the line after I catch Ghana for say you didn't have the power, you didn't have the authority, you didn't have the money, you didn't have the jurisdiction. What we get 10 years Kisia Jabe you go now no. And I was say he is corrupt. Now the corrupt ya oye ne say o hweye e ma o hedi e ma ye Hon.Ofori edwane e di free o man he ye nyina ye pese obeba o man mu Hon.Ofori former finance minister. Now be accountable to the state because there are a lot of cases surrounding him wa e was so yin ho ano. And well, if you have nothing to fear, why are you still not in the country? Now, let's listen to the lawyer Martin Pebu, legal practitioner, with regards to Kisia Jabe.
So, what's fueling my anger is that, as I stated clearly, and most Ghanaians by now have come to join the fray. They've joined the fray because Kisia Jabe subsequently came to admit that he saw Ofori leave. And even before the departure, he said he had intercepted the letter that Ofori wrote to the outgoing chief of staff and the incoming chief of staff. Right? So once he stated that, and also stated that he had gone to the security agencies for help and didn't get same, which has turned out to be palpably false. I mean, naturally, as a citizen, I'll be angry, extremely angry. And natural fact, it had been simmering for a while because I had heard, like we say in Ghana, you know, but each time they'll be like, hey, listen, if you go out with it, they will ask you for evidence. If you go out with this allegation, they will ask for evidence. So it's good riddance that eventually he came to admit that, look, he saw Ofori-Atta go. He even had the letter. And I said, then that is the right time that he has to leave, because what better evidence we have than a confession? Thank God there are quite a number of lawyers. I see some in the audience.
The confession was to tell Ghanaians that he couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, but that's hogwash, absolute hogwash. We've shown that he could have done a press conference. We've shown that he could have done a press conference, and the law mandates him to do that. And he had done Ankwa Numa Part 1, and so we wanted Ankwa Numa Part 2. So if he had done a press conference, and you see, it's constitutional. Asking him to come and inform our citizens is constitutional. You find it in the preamble to the Constitution, Article 1, Article 35, and Article 125. That is sovereignty. Sovereignty resides in the people, okay, and for whose benefit and welfare the powers of government are exercised. So if you're exercising your statutory powers and you get challenges and no other institution will help you, come back to the owners of the land. This is deep political theory. It's not just constitutional theory. Ask the political experts. On Saturday, you heard Professor Jampo bringing the political science angle. So it's a governance issue. So we shouldn't be sitting here joking, please. And so in that light, tomorrow there's a citizen who is going on a demonstration. Apostle Abraham Lincoln Labi. We should join him, 7:30 at the Brassport. If you don't, it means you are not protecting the Constitution. If you want to protect the Constitution, tomorrow you should be at the demonstration. The special prosecutor comes to tell you that he saw the most valuable suspect. Like in football, you say most valuable player, right? In this one, we say most valuable suspect fleeing the country. And he chooses not to inform the citizens and kept quiet until citizens kept making noise, putting pressure. Then about 10 months on, 5th of November, he now comes to spill the beans. You don't have a special prosecutor. You don't have one. You don't have one.
Earlier we had Mr. Michael Kwame Bwedi with the Transparency International. He listed a number of challenges with our institutions and why we are where we are. Yeah. One of the things he talked about was the need for us to strengthen our institutions. And he gave examples. You don't think that perhaps the special prosecutor has found himself in this situation because he and the acts that established him, they don't feel empowered enough?
Not at all.
Strengthened enough?
Not at all, Beatrice, I don't agree. Beatrice, if we open the Special Prosecutor Act right now, right, we would read to you that the Special Prosecutor has police powers. So they said that he went to NIB. Do you know that NIB that by itself doesn't even arrest? The people at NIB who are arrested are actually policemen. When you read the Securities and Intelligence Agencies Act, NIB is an intelligence agency. NIB is not super police. They are not the senior brothers to the Ghana Police Service. They are to gather intelligence, but then as part of their work, then they collaborate with the Ghana Police Service. So the people who arrest, the NIB officers who do the arrest, etc., are actually Ghana Police Service personnel, right? So it's just a ruse. And have you seen the write-up Manasseh did? You know, I earlier on said that I checked with NIB, and they said it's a lie. Kisi never came there asking for any help. And today, Manasseh has corroborated me. He's also done his checks. Just this morning, he's put it out there. So it's a palpable falsehood. Look, it fits into that thing that he's a double agent. He was fighting and still fighting to help Akufo-Addo appointees. Pure and simple. We will continue to make that noise. At least this particular case vindicates me. The Ofori-Atta is Akufo-Addo's cousin and Akufo-Addo's appointee. You see, sometimes I think the law, this is about every time, go and bring hard evidence. It's allowing too many criminals to escape. Because we always knew it. You know, from day one, people kept saying that, look, Kisi Ejabin can't do this job. He's too conflicted. Look, Beatrice, you can go interview Kisi. Ask him, has he ever been in meetings with Ofori-Atta where financial decisions were made? He knows what I'm talking about. Has he worked for Ofori-Atta? Has he worked for Gabi? How can such a person investigate Ofori-Atta? How can such a person investigate Ofori-Atta? We're just going to lose. We'll lose a court case, some of the charges. Because, look, let me mention, causing financial loss. Who gave him that authority to do causing financial loss? That power belongs to the Attorney General. You know, when the Sicily Power matter came, he said that he's not empowered to do money laundering. So he was sending the docket to Iyoko. And then he even gave the money back to Cicely Adapa when he could have taken, of course, he would say court order. But my point is that this time, why is he going ahead with causing financial loss when that one he doesn't have the power?
And the enra was in the wolf papa was in the wolf was a Ghana for a who the entire Sassam we buy a church will be abo na as will be a who will be a one person or becca, but as some so no crack as I'm no crow away and pen for a can't say and to say into one of the hair waka. And of course, the OSB has invited him, say, well, if these are the allegations you are making against me, come and assist us with investigations. And lawyer Martin Pebu Ekoi, one interesting thing, and then you give you update, or say he's going to lead a demonstration with others, say, on be ye a kisi jabe e free in the office because on Jenejume aha Island TV Plus. And your first time I ever share now subscribe it, no like it, no share. Now for front so any be share. You give you update concerning a kisi ajabe the USP case and all the other developments. Akramo.